All right, we are in the off season right now. I know that spring is going on, but there's a lot of development happening. I want to talk with you, Nile
Ton.
Lawrence-Stample, former Florida State defensive lineman, about that development, the importance that it brings a little bit today on this video. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for sitting down and chatting a little bit. But how important is that off season? I know it's like the fans' least favorite time of the year because there's no games happening, but talk
Yeah.
to us about the strides and how important that development in the off season truly is.
Yeah, man. The off season is where championships are really won, and it is especially being in that position and being there during that time. You have Jimbo Fisher, who obviously takes spring ball very seriously, which every coach does. But he basically spoke a lot about opportunities. These are where your opportunities are at. We are not preparing to play for a game or a win, but we are playing to give guys opportunities the chance to play in the regular season. And if you wait for spring to be over and try to do it in training camp, it's going to be too late. So
Sure.
really taking spring seriously shows a lot of maturity to the coaches. It shows a lot of maturity to your teammates as well. And it shows that you're really ready to kind of transition into a actual active player. And I'm saying that more or less for your younger guys, your guys that haven't proven themselves as of yet. So it is big on development, but I think it's more big on, or it's just as big on social development as well, to making sure that these coaches and your teammates know that your mindset is ready to take care of it in the regular season.
Yeah, you say that, and we wrote it, and we talked about it before, but the like the relationship aspect of it too, on the field, off the field, has to
Huge.
be massive as well. Like the game. I mean, we can get you back on in September and talk about like what a game week looks like and that actual grind of Monday to Saturday, but the relationships that you develop in the off season are massive too. Like I said, no, both on and off the field.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a bigger part of it is when you create these relationships on the field during spring, you're able to kind of go into the film room and work with some of your teammates, because these higher up teammates and these really good players that are trying to do so much and trying to build their craft, they have a little bit more time in the spring. They have a little bit more opportunity in the spring to work with some of these younger guys. So if that guy like Patrick Payton has a little bit extra time in the spring and he sees a young guy really trying and really trying to develop himself, you're able to create that relationship with him and really say, okay, listen, you're taking spring seriously. You're taking a time of year to where some players that aren't that great don't take seriously. I'm going to put my arm around you. And that's the time that you're able to really separate yourself on a social level, when you're able to now say, okay, well, Patrick Payne's my guy. Someone like him is my guy, and he's now starting to believe in me, and that is huge because the coaches see that, your other teammates see that, and all those things happen. But there's so many small nuances that happen throughout the spring that don't happen in the regular season due to the amount of time that is not there. Like during the regular season, you're not only preparing for your opponent, you're not only preparing for new plays and new development going in and new wrinkles going into your defense or your offensive scheme. You're actually scouting these players. So the amount of time that goes into that is all taken out the window and all goes out the window during the spring, because you're more or less just trying to develop yourself. So that all that extra time goes into hopefully developing yourself as well as developing your team structure and your camaraderie.
You obviously only get a limited number of spring practices, and then you have your summer, and then obviously your fall camp, your fall workouts. What are the major differences between like spring, summer, and then like fall camp?
Okay, so yeah, absolutely. So spring ball, you're really focused on really training. You're doing a lot of running to where you have, prior to spring ball, you're doing fourth quarter drills, which we used to do. They used to do mat drills prior to that, and all my predecessors would talk about it and go on and on about it. But it's something that they hone in on significantly for you to get in the best shape that you possibly can prior to spring ball. And then spring ball, you have practice like every other day. So it's not super stringent in terms of the practices wise, but you're doing a lot of meetings, you're doing a lot of those things, but you still have time just because it's a little bit more drawn out. You don't have a game to develop for it or get ready for. You're just kind of working on yourself. And then you move into summer, which is more or less just kind of working out, doing conditioning, kind of working with one another, creating those relationships, doing some 7-on-7 stuff, some one-on-one drills. And then you move into fall camp, where fall camp, obviously, you're doing practicing every single day. You're doing kind of multiple times a day, which they've got rid of 2-a-days, but they still allow you to do a practice and then do kind of like a fast walkthrough. So that's still kind of multiple things going on per day on that accord. And then you move into the regular season where you have practice every day. You weight lift 2 times a week, on top of your games, on top of stretch and stride the day after the game. So every single day you are doing something during the regular season, and it is very exhausting. I will say that it is very exhausting, but it's just it's the way of the beast. It's the nature of the beast, and whoever can do it right is the one that typically can get to the top.
So having gone through this several years, several times, I am the biggest Mike Norvell fan ever. And so I'm going to ask this, and I do not mean to take any credit away from Mike Norvell, but how much of an unsung hero is Josh Storms? Like Florida State, like how, and again, I'm not like Norvell hired him, so he can still have the credit, but like, I think you understand what I'm asking. I don't want to get lit up on social media for people saying that I'm not giving Norvell credit, but Josh Storms is like, I mean, I'll let you talk about it. As somebody who's been there, been in those shoes, been on those mats, been in that weight room. Let's talk about that side of things.
It's a huge it's a huge role for every and any organization, and they're super important. They're vital in order for the players to be where they need to be, on conditioning, just the strength and everything. But they work really much hand in hand with our training staff, because it is so important that we are lifting and we're doing all those different things, but we're also making sure we're taking care of our bodies, because lifting is just a recipe for disaster if you are not stretching, if you're not taking care of your body, if you're not doing those things, because your muscles get very tight. So it's a super cohesive unit of making sure that we're lifting enough, we're making sure we're taking enough protein, we're eating enough, and then also being able to make sure we're stretching, we're doing all those different things, and we're taking care of our bodies as a full encompassed program. So everyone in that room, really, everyone in that facility really takes their own job very seriously, because if one without another does not get the job done.
Yeah. So now you are, you're doing a podcast now. You're doing a show. Jumping into this a little bit. Talk to us a little bit about that. Where people can find it. What you got going, and then we'll wrap up and get out of here.
Yeah, for sure. So I am doing basically a series of Nolan with Nile, and it's more or less just me speaking about FSU football, me talking about some of the older times that we had, as well as comparing it to kind of what's going on right now. I've have the luxury of being able to kind of converse with some players that are currently there, as well as some players that are obviously former players of my counterparts, and kind of speaking with them on what their thoughts are going on in college football right now, and kind of what it looked like back then. So you can find us at you can find me at Nolan with Nile on YouTube, and then at Nile underscore law 99 on Instagram. I have a ton of content on there as well that's just really cool and informative, and kind of talking about some of the newer players and what they look like, what some of the draft stuff was like, and what in terms of my perspective. So yeah, Nolan with Nile, or at Nile underscore law 99.
Awesome. Good stuff. We'll link all of that in the description. Make sure you guys go subscribe, follow there. And man, I really appreciate you taking some time and chatting with us today.
Yeah, man, had an awesome time, man. I can't wait to do it again.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
All right, thanks.